Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm here on the fifth day of the week. So there's 7 days in a week. This is the fifth day. And it is Tishri 7, the month of Tishri, the seventh lunar month. And on the Gregorian calendar, it is September the 5th. Now that word September means 7. Okay, sept, the 7th. So it kind of gives you a clue that they know this is the actual 7th month. And why I'm here today is to relay a dream I had last night, given to me from the Father. So I'm going to read it because I wrote it out so I wouldn't forget anything when I woke up this morning. It says, this is my dream. I had a dream last night. We were living in a remote place. So it was really far away where no one was. We had been asleep, but when I woke up, I went into the next room. And when I went into the next room, there was an object on the floor. An angular object, like black and gray. I had never seen it, didn't really know what it was. It was just a kind of in a shape like that. And it was on the floor sideways down, and I was curious because I had never seen it before, and it was obvious that someone had been in the house because they had to have placed that there. It was obvious that someone had put it there, and it meant to me that someone had been in there while we were asleep. Then I see that there's this young man who was in the room, and I didn't recognize him. And I asked him who he was, and he told me his first name. And his behavior was that of waiting for more people. He said, as he reached over to wherever this was, he said, "You should turn down the lights." And he proceeded to dim the lights in the room. So the lights went down, and I was astonished because I never even thought to turn the lights down for any reason. I didn't even know that they could be dimmed. So it was weird. And then the cabin that we were in, the house that we were in, I say cabin because it was so remote, but the house that we were in, the door was not lockable. Like, it was easily opened and shut, and it was very it wasn't like this big heavy wooden door or anything. It was just this thin door that anyone could open and close. So I saw the door, and I guess that's how the guy got in. Okay, so while that guy was doing that with the lights, I looked outside. Like, say this is the wall. I went to go look out, and I kind of peeled the wall back and looked down beneath, right down there. And I could see water flowing under the house. Like if you were on the earth and you opened up like an aquifer and you could see there's water under there. I saw water under the house, and I saw a flower growing out of it. Then I was back, and then I kind of put that back and was looking around, and I looked outside, and I saw people were coming to the house. It was like they all knew where they were coming, but I didn't know why they were coming. Kind of like it was a surprise people were coming. During that dream, I had talked to someone on the phone, and it was a female, and it was the voice of somebody that I have talked to in the past about the truth. Her name's Alexandria. And it was like she was telling me she was coming over. So where we were in this place, there was trees around. was very remote, so wasn't used to seeing people. And it was strange to see people out there like coming. Next thing I remember about this dream is that I saw a room. It was like our room. It wasn't a strange place, but it was there in the same house, and they had set a table up. It wasn't my table, but it was a pretty long table, and a table had been set up, and there were many men seated and waiting. And I'd say there was about 18 or 20 people. I mean, I didn't count it, but there was a good amount on the table, on both sides of the table. And one of the men stood out because he was wearing a military uniform, dark green camouflage, and sort of like a green beret type hat. It was like they knew what they were all gathered for. They knew. I didn't know what they were doing here in the house. And it's like I had in the dream, like you kind of know what's about to happen. And they were going to gather, like they were waiting to talk to us, to gather our reasons and judge against us. I knew that it was not a good gathering. They were of some type of authority, and they were going to decide that we were wrong. Okay, so that's what I remember, is them just about ready to get us to come to this meeting. But then I woke up. Now, when I woke up out of the dream, I thought about it, and I realized it was some type of inquisition because of our teaching and our belief, which is the truth. I realized that in the dream we were in such a remote place that the remoteness was because we have such advanced light. We are taking those that gone before us, their light is being added to Ezekiel 4, like in the Ezekiel 4 prophecy where there's a grain that's the lentils, the beans, the wheat, all those are gathered into a bowl, and we have that. We understand that prophecy. We understand what it means. We understand which each grain was because of, after Ellen G. White, there was V.T. Hadif, and he was able to interpret what Ezekiel 4 means. And so we advanced, as me and my husband, we've advanced to know what V.T. Hadif taught. It's the second feeding flock for the SDA church, or for anyone in the world who wants to know each step of truth that Yah has given through his prophets. So reason in this dream, so I'm going to give like the interpretation of why the house that we're in is so remote. It's so remote because if you only learned one thing, let's say you learned the first grain of doctrine, which was the grace of Yahshua, most people call him Jesus, the grace that he gives you grace, that the Catholic Church doesn't give you grace. They're not who you go to for forgiveness, because at that time this prophecy of Ezekiel 4 is coming out of the Dark Ages, and every single step is a grain of truth that's put into the bowl of Ezekiel 4 prophecy. So when we say that when this dream is that we're out in a very remote place, it's because people haven't continued on those grains. They've never read V.T. Hadif's writings. The church, the SDA church, has blocked them from those writings. And I have a lot of statements from Ellen G. White where she wouldn't have anything to do with the conference after she saw where they were going. She said that she was going to remain away from them. She was going to leave. And I can give you those quotes down below in this section where it says show more. If you want those quotes, I'll put them down there. Okay, so in the dream, I'm giving the interpretation of the dream. Not only am I knowing what the dream means, it's we're in such a remote place that when we tell somebody truth, their mind is blank. They don't want to believe it because they only want to hear truth that they already know. They only want to know, how to get baptized, the truth of grace. They want to know, Jesus loves me, this I know, but they don't want advanced light. And this guy says, let me turn down the lights. So he dims the light. For him, it was too bright in the house, so he wants to turn down the light, which I never knew there was such a thing that you want to block light coming in. That's what this dream, I'm interpreting the dream. Okay, so we're remote because when we try to give a new truth, because it isn't something that Ellen G. White said, people are not willing to accept it because it's new truth. Now, in Thoughts from the Mount of Blessing by Ellen G. White, she has a quote on page 6 that says, and this is talking about when Yasha was at the mount, he gave the Beatitudes and he was on the mountainside. And this is her quote, "As something strange and new, these words fall upon the ears of the wondering multitude. Such is contrary to all they have ever heard from priest or rabbi." So it also says, his words fall like rain, it's water upon the mown grass, as showers that water the earth. So his words are like water that showers the earth. And Ellen G. White is saying that when Jesus came to the people to give them truth, when Yasha came, see, even the word Yasha is remote. You've never heard it, you don't hear it, you don't use it. And it's the true name of the Son. And he also says in John, he says, "I come in my Father's name, and you will not accept me. Another will come in his name, and you will receive him." So you're receiving Satan in the name of Jesus, but you won't hear the Son and the Father's name. It's the same. Same as my brother's name is Robert, my father's name is Robert. My last name when I was born was a Mesquita. My father's name is Mesquita. We come in the same name. We're in the same family. So when Yasha came, he didn't have a different name. His name wasn't Yahushuda or Yeshua or all these names. He was the same as his father. He says, "I come in my Father's name." And his name is the YHWH. The W is a Shah sound. So his name is Shah. Yah-Shah, Lord of Lords and King of Kings. And his father's name is Yah-Shah. So he comes in the same name. So this is such remote information to you because you haven't kept up with the light. And some people, when we tell them and we show them all the evidence, they still keep saying Yahshua or Jesus or all these other names. But his name is Yah-Shah. Okay. So Ellen G. White is saying that when new truth comes, that it's strange and new. Well, that means you've never heard it. Now, just because you haven't heard it and that it's so remote from where you've been doesn't make it false. It's just that Yah has been giving us truth by measure. That's what Ezekiel 4 says, a little bit more, a little bit more. But let's say you come along and you've missed all these classes, all these feeding flocks, all these pastures, all these generations have passed, and you missed out on all this truth. V.T. Hott of Verlis Johnson, you've missed out on some feeding flocks. When you do that, this truth is so remote. So this dream is saying that we live in a very remote place. Okay, remote because we have advanced light. So far advanced, it's remote to them, and they want to stop it. So this is what this dream is, that they're coming as a type of inquisition to me and my husband and this house where it's so lit, and where I look beneath the side and I see water flowing underneath it. So Jeremiah 17, let me go there, see if I have it still. Jeremiah 17 says, "Thus, O Lord," and wherever the old King James, the King James Version says Lord, It means YHWH, and YHWH is Yasha the Father. Okay, so it says, O Yasha, the hope of Israel. So that's the Father. All that forsake thee shall be ashamed. And they that depart from me shall be written in the earth, because they have forsaken the YHWH, which is the Yasha, the Father, the fountain of living waters. So the Father is the fountain of living waters. I want to go to another verse, and let's look up Deuteronomy 32:2. Let's see if I can find it quick enough. Deuteronomy 32:2. Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. So, words. My doctrine shall drop as the rain. So, doctrine's going to drop as the rain. Everybody's waiting for the latter rain, but they don't know what that means. That means his words. Okay? My doctrine shall drop as the rain. My speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. So his words are flowing water. And we just read Jeremiah that he's the fountain of living waters. Now let's read Revelation and see what it says there. Revelation 22:1. So people don't know this, and this is going to sound strange and new, because they've been seeing this as literal river, but what it is Yah's words. Okay, it says, and he showed me, Revelation 22:1, and he showed me a pure river of water of life. Pure words of life, as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Yah and of the Lamb. So Jeremiah 13 says that the Father is the fountain of living waters. And this is saying a throne of river of water. And if you go to Ezekiel 37, if I can find Ezekiel. Okay, I got it. Ezekiel 37. No, it's not Ezekiel 37. It's Ezekiel 47, I think. Yeah. It says, afterward he brought me again unto the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward. For the forefront of the house stood toward the east, and the waters came down under the right side of the house, at the south side of the altar. So last night I had this dream where there was actual water. It's like opening up the earth and seeing an aquifer underneath there. The water was flowing, and a flower grew out. Now, in my dream, somebody had placed this angular object on the floor there, and I knew that it wasn't ours. Okay, the object on the floor was like black and gray colored. So what that represents in the dream is that it's man-made doctrine. Somebody's trying to bring man-made doctrine. Okay, yeah. The doctrine that we need to have is the water that flows from his mouth. So anywhere in the Bible where it says, and the Yah said, and the Yah said, that's all the law of Moses. And he will never change his words. He will never let his word go out and come back void. He is going to, the law is going to go forth out of Zion in this latter day, which is the millennium, which this is far remote truth. People don't believe that there's a millennium, that Yah is going to come here and he's going to teach your children. He says so in Isaiah. Let me go to Isaiah. I don't know what chapter, but hopefully I'll find it. Isaiah, might be 54, might be 59. Okay. It's 54. It says, O thou afflicted, tossed with tempest, and not comforted, behold, I will lay thy stones with fair colors, and lay thy foundation with sapphires. Sapphire is very important because when you look up that word sapphire in the Hebrew, it says sefer. When you look up the book of the law, it says sefer. So Yah, when he came and he gave the law, he was standing on the sapphire stone. It's twice in the Bible where it mentions that he's standing on this stone. So his word is solid sapphire. You can't change the word. You cannot change a stone, a rock. So the next verse, and all thy children, it says, verse 12, and I will make thy windows of agates, and thy gates of carbuncles, and all thy borders of pleasant stones. And all thy children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of thy children. So the Father's coming back to the earth that he created for the millennium. He's going to teach our children so that we'll never be taught by Satan again. Our children will not be taught by Satan. We will not have false doctrine, man-made doctrine. We will only have the pure words, fountain of living waters here on the earth. And so this dream last night, there's water flowing under the house, and there was a flower that grew. I saw a flower that was grown out of the water. So only Yah's word can make a flower grow. Only Yah's word can give you the abundance to grow like an herb, to flower, to become happy. Okay. Now, there was a military man at that table in my dream. Okay. He was wearing like a dark greenish bluish, it's like a green and camouflage type military garb. Now, why was there a military person there who was coming to, basically they had a presence there, and it was not a good outcome for us, and they were going to make us renounce what we believe. But in my dream I knew, well, we're going to tell them what we believe, but we're not renouncing it. Okay? And this military man, why is there a military man there? Well, let me tell you why, and I'm going to give you a quote, see if I can find it here on my computer. Because the military the Jesuits are a military order. Now, I'm going to go to that quote because people are just so far back. They are so remote away from us because they don't know what Jesuits are. Now, if you look in the 1828 Webster's Dictionary and you look up Jesuitism, what is it? It's a noun. It says the arts, principles, and practices of the Jesuits. Cunning, deceit, hypocrisy, prevarication, deceptive practices to effect a purpose. So right there in the 1800s, people knew that the Jesuits were cunning, deceitful, hypocrites, and just false. Okay, but now, all of a sudden, now in the 1900s, because so many people have been dumbed down, they don't know what's truth. They go to these universities and learn a false way of life, and so when the truth comes, they can't understand it because it's so remote from them. But it says this is the memorial of the Captivity of Napoleon at St. Helena by General Montholon. This is what he says. So this is at the Captivity of Napoleon. It says, the Jesuits are a military organization, not a religious order. Their chief is a general of an army, not the mere father abbot of a monastery. Do you understand that? These chiefs are generals of an army. They want to get you. If there is a Jesuit in your church, which I would say most SDA pastors, most Baptists, all these people, unless they're so willing, like the people that are not Jesuits, so willing to follow them, they'll put a Jesuit in your church, especially if there's a high need for that church to come apart, which the churches that have schools are very much a target. So it says the Jesuits are a military organization, not a religious order. Their chief is a general of an army, not the mere abbot of a monastery. And the aim of this organization is power. Power in its most despotic exercise. Absolute power. Universal power. Power to control the world by the volition of a single man. Single Jesuit. Jesuitism is the most absolute of despotisms, and at the same time the greatest and the most enormous of abuses. We can see that today in the Catholic Church, the abuses of the children, the raping of the children, the satanic rituals that happen at night, in the middle of the night. There are as many witnesses that have seen and been through these satanic ritual abuses. If you want some information on that, tell me below and I'll send you some names to look up where these people have been abused, and they know that it's people in the universities were there, people in the city councils were at these ritual abuse. They're called black mass. There always has to be a Catholic priest there for these satanic rituals. So even the politicians. Okay, so the Jesuits. And then in my dream, why was there this man in a military outfit at this table wanting to find out our information? And then they were going to judge us. They were just there to do the Inquisition and then judge us from that. Okay, so let me go back to my dream. Okay. So the military man was because there's Jesuits at this table. I could tell that this table with people there were people of importance, most likely, you know, there to stop us from preaching our advanced light. Turn down your light. Don't do your light. Don't teach your truths. We have had people, pastors, call us on the phone and say we could not come to their church because they went to our website and they saw, oh, you're not one of us, so you can't come here. We're going to call the police. This is how they deal with you through their powers. Okay. Okay, so more about, okay, so that young man is telling us how to dim the light. The door was flimsy and not locked. And so I saw that as later that it's so that people can easily enter to get the light and to get this water that's flowing under the house. And Revelation 3:7-8 says, set before thee an open door and no man can shut it. So if it's this huge door that you can't open, you can't get in. Okay, so that's Revelation 3:7-8. You can look that up. So the object on the floor was a black and gray, very angular, man-made, slick thing. It was just, maybe it was made out of metal. I'm not sure. I didn't touch it, but I saw it. Kind of like metal looking gray. The water under the house represents Yah's flowing fountain. Now, Jerusalem, in the Hebrew, it's Yara Shalim. Okay, so Yara is the words that are flowing. Like in Spanish, it's a jara, that it holds water. So Yah's words are flowing water. And Jerusalem is where this water is going to come out in the millennium, where he's going to teach your children. He's going to teach you, where people are going to go and see Yah for themselves. And it's going to be here on the earth. It's millennium. And this is remote. So remember what I'm saying here. Your body, because it doesn't know the truth, it hasn't kept up with the light, says, no, we're supposed to go to heaven. The Bible is telling us in Jeremiah, Isaiah, Revelation, over and over and over. Jeremiah, Ezekiel talking about this house, the sanctuary, that the water runs out of it. All these things are telling you that Daniel is talking about the dominion and the kingdom is given to the saints. The saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever and ever. There's no stop in this kingdom, so you don't get the kingdom. Here's the keys to the kingdom. Let's go to heaven. It's not that way. We're going to get this earth back, and the tower of the flock is going to get the first dominion. And we've written about a lot of it. I have got four videos about some of it. And we're learning more and more and more about this millennium. Then you know that it says that Satan is put into the bottomless pit so that he can deceive the nations no more. Well, if there's nations here that he can deceive no more, that means there's nations here that he can deceive no more. So there's people on the earth. It's not that he's still going to run around thinking about what he's doing. He's going to be dead. That's what, to put somebody in the pit, bottomless pit, if you go to all of the references in the Bible, it actually says it's the grave and it's death and hell. It's death. So when Yahshua has the key of death and hell, Revelation 1:20, I think, when he has the keys to death and hell, he has the ability to kill Satan, and Satan dies. That's what Revelation says when he's put in the pit. Okay, in the bottomless pit. A bottomless pit, that connotates death, because death is bottomless, right? You don't land anywhere when you die. You just go into oblivion and your mind can't think and you're gone. So it says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven. So this is Yahshua who comes down from heaven, having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that he must be loosed a little season. So he's resurrected, because they're going to try to fight us in the kingdom. But Revelation tells you that he's going to die. He's going into the bottomless pit. Okay, and if you need to know where the definition of pit is, you can go to Job 17, Isaiah 51, Isaiah 14:16, Isaiah 24:22, and see that the bottomless pit is the sides of the pit. Isaiah 14:15. It's the sides of the pit. It's death and hell. Satan's going to die. And it says, and I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahshua and for the word of Yah, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Messiah 1,000 years. And then it says, but the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. So there's 1,000 years where we reign on the earth. Let's go to Revelation 5:10. It says, and has made us unto our Yah kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. Not in heaven. It doesn't say we're going to reign in heaven. It says we're going to reign on the earth. And here it says we're going to reign 1,000 years. This is new. This is remote truth. This isn't something that Ellen G. White told you. Even though Ellen G. White says that we take up our work again in the kingdom. So my dream last night is beautiful, because it's saying that we have this house where the water is flowing, where flowers grow out of the water. So if you will take this truth, remote truth that you've never heard before, and stop fighting it, stop fighting Yah, and just accept the water, the words of truth, you will flourish like a flower. And you will have more light. People are trying to tell us to dim the light. We're not going to dim the light. If you decide you don't want to have the light, then you go into darkness. That's why it says, gross darkness to people, gross darkness to the earth. But when Yah decides to come here, the whole earth will be lit with his glory, and he will teach your children, and there will be no war anymore. So there's a whole time of trouble, and it's for the wicked ones. And that is, the time of trouble is not for obedient people. He has to clean out the land, so he has to get rid of those that don't want to follow him. He puts the goats on the left the sheep on the right, he says that he's coming to the earth to do that. You're not going to have a judgment to come into the kingdom, and then it's not what the Bible says. The Bible tells us clearly, let me go there, Matthew, I think it's 25. Let's see. Sorry, it's taking a little while. It doesn't want to take me to Matthew 25. So let me go here in Matthew. It says this: when the Son of Man shall come in his glory. So this time it's not going to be that he comes as a man and nobody knows that he's been glorified. So he comes in his glory, and all the holy angels with him. Then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him, in front of him, shall be gathered all nations. All the nations will be gathered. And he shall separate one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. Okay, so he's here on the earth. It says earth, the world. When he comes, okay, he's coming here, and there's a millennium. And that time is when people will learn righteousness, because they've been blocked so long from Satan with his unholy Jesuits and Catholics and false teaching in all the churches, including, Baptists, all these people who believe in the Trinity, because the Catholic Church sought to change times and laws. So they are trying to teach you that there's three gods in one God in three. And you read the Adventist, oh no, we've got a different Trinity, but read what they say. Oh no, we're not the same as the Catholics. Read it. It's the same as the Catholics. The Catholics have infiltrated the SDA church. They brought in all their heresies. And if you don't come out of her, my people, that's what the Bible says, come out of her, my people. If you don't come out, then you agree with all of their abominations, and you will be a goat. When he divides, he says, no, you're a goat. Okay, so the time of trouble is for evil people. It says a time of trouble such as never was. Now, in the past, there's been trouble for Yah's people, and they died. But this time it says this is going to be a time of trouble such as never was. So that means it's the wicked that are going to die, because they will not listen to Yah's word. So he can't have them here on the earth, because he's coming to bring the kingdom to his people that love him. And the people say, you are our God. We have waited for you. So we're waiting for him. And Yahshua says, I go to prepare a place for you. Yeah, he goes to prepare the holy city so that when he comes, he brings that city and you can be with him. So, remote truth, because you go, well, no, it's like this. We were told it's this, and this. But see, you haven't kept up with the light. There's been more revealed about this kingdom. Even Ellen G. White says, our work will begin again in the kingdom. Your work, my work, will begin again in the kingdom, she says to somebody that's standing there. So that's telling you that in the kingdom, we're going to go out and teach the truth. Now, if you want to stay with your old beliefs and you don't want to move on, that's your choice. But you have to see that Ellen G. White was trying to get us ready for this truth. She said that there would be Joshua that would lead us into the kingdom, and then another place she talks that there would be someone to come in the spirit and power of Elijah. And men may say, you do not know how to teach your message. Let me teach you how to teach your message. So she says that because she's saying there's going to be more prophets after her death. But the leaders in SDA have told you that, no, Ellen G. White was the last prophet. They want to shut down the light. And the light's going to keep coming. Nobody can dim the light. And nobody can stop Yah's word And one of the things we learned as SDAs is that the Catholic little horn power sought to change times and laws. They thought that they would, but they didn't. Yah's law, the law of Moses, is still active today. So we need to keep the feast days. All this is new truth. All this is on our channel. All this is at timesandlaws.com. And I hope that you will go there. And I hope that this dream that I had shows you what's going on right now, and that you will want to have this water that's underneath the house and the light, and you have to go for a far remote place. Why? Because it isn't what you already knew, where Ellen G. White says that it's strange and new. So I hope this blesses you. I hope that you wake up. I hope that you want to be in the light. I hope that you will revive yourself and say, I want to know the truth, no matter if it's different, no matter if it's not what I already know. Because new light is not what you already know. It's something you don't know. And if you're one of those know-it-alls and say, well, Ellen G. White said this, and Ellen G. White said that, and Ellen G. White said this, and Ellen G. White said that,